Okay, good afternoon. My name is Quentin, and I'll be narrating this portion of the video. As we have seen over the last 8 to 10 months, the world is changing very quickly. We have found that the coronavirus can be transmitted through the air from carriers who are symptomatic and asymptomatic. So far, there have been more than 250,000 deaths, and the recent data suggests that this trend is showing no signs of slowing down. While some have scoffed at the mortality rate, the economic impact has been immense. The above graph shows the percent change of GDP from business cycle peak. That is the purple line. On top of this, most of us can name a business that has had to close due to COVID over the last year. Restaurants, bars, and hotels appear to be the biggest victims. For example, many large conventions that once called Las Vegas home are being canceled due to the fears surrounding COVID. From personal experience, these conventions bring a ton of money to all the businesses on the Strip and the greater Las Vegas area as well. CES is normally scheduled in early January, and that one has been canceled. This is one of the more famous Las Vegas conventions. The motivation for the project comes from my personal philosophy regarding the COVID pandemic. I think that we need to face the situation head on with unique ideas that will allow us to live in comfort again. Vaccines are good, but the timeline for development has been extremely long despite there already being a large industry for vaccine development. Masks are also great, but not really for everybody. As many of us have seen, there have been backlashes against mask wearing across the country. This is due to supposed infringements on personal liberties. Whether or not that's actually the case, I'm not really here to debate. That's just what we've seen. So, I think we need something else. Something more hands-off that requires minimal effort, and something you do not have to wear every time you go out in public. We have to start with what we know for certain, and what we know for certain is that UV light can cause serious problems for basically everything that has DNA. UV light induces cross-linkages on strands of DNA between distant atoms on the base pairs. If the organism, such as coronavirus, lacks any DNA repair mechanisms, the damaging effect is far greater. We intend to build, design, and thoroughly test a device that can fit into your home or office air vent and sterilize the outgoing air feeding into your living and working spaces. Essentially, this is going to be a high-powered UV lamp that only turns on when the device senses the vibrations in the AC air duct and the movement of air going past it. The vibrations come from the AC unit powering on. Additionally, as a safety feature, we want to construct the device in such a way that the tension rod which keeps the unit in the vent will need to be fully deployed for the device to work in addition to the other conditions just mentioned. This will hopefully minimize the damage to users who are curious to see how bright the light will be. The constant input of clean air and the uptake of dirty air could provide a means to sterilize the volume of air in an enclosed space over time. Small businesses such as restaurants, barbershops, and nail salons, and even small clinics could then hopefully begin to open up with minimal restrictions. At the very least, the users will have the comfort of knowing that absolutely clean air is constantly being injected into their enclosed surroundings. The plan is to have the devices placed on both intake and the output air vent registers. This way, the air flowing through the vents will get double the treatment, and therefore have a higher chance of being COVID-free. It will be battery powered as to minimize the amount of work needed to install them, and the battery packs will be rechargeable as well. To deploy the device, one would only need a stepladder and a screwdriver to remove the air vent register. The device will be largely unseen aside from a violet hue coming from the vent. As mentioned earlier, the device will need to be tested thoroughly to ensure that it works the way it is intended to, and that the battery life is optimal.